My name is Eddie. I'm one of the organizers of this summer camp. I come from Netgen. These are the links to my social media profiles, so if you have any questions after the workshop, you can always contact me on Twitter. You can send me an email. So if there is anything you need afterwards, or of course now, you can always ask. You might know me in Easy Community because I'm the maintainer of the tax bundle for Easy Legacy and now Easy Platform. As I said, I work at Netgen, and at Netgen I'm the basically tech lead of the company. I'm in charge of research and development. Recently, for the past 2 years, I've been working on something we call Netgen layouts that Ivo presented yesterday. I will not go into details about Netgen layouts. Just wanted to say that I'm the lead developer, and together with two of my colleagues that are the leads on front end, we're now working 2.5 years on that. So it's not yet open source, but it will be. So you will get to use it. Today, the point of this workshop is to show you how can you migrate your legacy back office features, which I'm sure you have tons of, to the new stack, which means Easy 5, Easy 6, and the future one that is Easy 7. So the whole point of this is the fact that many people who invested a lot of time in Easy 4, if they even migrate to the newer versions of Easy, tend to stay at Easy 5 version and not migrate to Easy 6 and Easy 7, especially if they have projects that are more than a couple of years old, which have lots of legacy extensions, lots of legacy back office features, lots of legacy integrations with various systems, which can be a major pain in the ass to rewrite, of course. When we started using Easy 5, I think it was back then, I think we were one of the first that embraced the new stack with all our hearts. And when we talked more and more with our clients and partners and friends and so on, they couldn't believe that we're using it and that we have no problem switching to the new stack when we have obviously so much code left in legacy. But the reason why we could switch is because we developed something that we call Netgen Admin UI, which is a rewrite of the legacy administration interface rewritten in Twig. So have you heard of it? How many of you? Okay. So the Netgen Admin UI makes it possible for us to use all the stuff from the legacy stack, all the extensions, all the old templates, all the admin changes, all the admin modifications, while still using completely the new stack, and what's best, developing the new stuff in Symfony, so in Twig templates and controllers and so on and so on. So the point of this workshop will be to show you that you can use Easy 4 back office together with Netgen Admin UI, and all on top of the Easy Platform, the latest version, which is now 1.11. And finally, without any modifications, to use the code that we implement today, to use it in the new hybrid UI of Easy platform, which will be released with Easy 2.0. Recently, we implemented an admin UI for the tax bundle, which works without modifications even on Easy Platform UI 1.x with the JavaScript. So, if we can make it work in the old Easy Platform UI, which is a single-page JavaScript application, we can for sure make it work in the hybrid UI, which is basically a Twig and a Symfony controllers app. So the first part of this workshop will be a bit basic because I will be concentrating on creating 2 Doctrine entities and a couple of Symfony controllers, which are basic stuff really for any Symfony developer, and I hope for any Easy developer. But the point was, in the last year, I've talked to many Easy developers who said that they had no idea and they didn't realize that they could use Doctrine ORM with Easy tables, with Easy database, which is nonsense. I mean, why wouldn't you? But that's the fact, so I will go to that way. So, has anyone ever used Doctrine with Easy internal tables? Okay. You see what I mean? Ah, one. Okay. You can, of course, when developing your own projects, most of the time you have your custom tables in your Easy database, which you can, which you previously used with Easy persistent object class, which is basically an active record of your database table. You can, of course, switch now those to the ORM, but today I will show you how to re-implement some stuff that is missing currently in Easy Platform UI 1.x to re-implement it in the new stack so it can be reused in Netgen Admin UI and the new Easy Hybrid UI. So I've decided to pick something, as I said, that's missing in the new stack, and that's the link management. So this list is basically simple. It has 3 pages. It has a page with lists that lists all the links in the system. This uses Easy URL and Easy URL content object link tables to display all the links which are available in the rich text field types in Easy. So we basically have 3 pages. We have a page that lists all the links. We have a page that lists one link and all the objects that are using that link. And we have a page that can edit the link, which then will be automatically applied to all the content objects which are using this link. Couple of Easy partners said that, for example, this page is really important for them, and they don't want to migrate to the new stack purely because features like these are missing from Easy Platform UI. So let's dig in. We'll start with creating a Doctrine ORM entities to access these database tables. So okay, so let's see how those tables even look alike. So I think that the user is WebSC and the password is also WebSC, but I can just connect this way because this is on my local host. So the database in question is named Easy Migration. And if we type show create table Easy URL, we will see how the table looks like in the easy database. So based on this, we will create a doctrine entity, which we'll then later use to create the admin interface in the Netgen Admin UI and the hybrid UI. So let's start. By default, Doctrine ORM is not installed in Easy, so you can basically install it by adding the following in your Composer JSON. You don't have to activate any bundles. It's available automatically because Easy already provides a Doctrine bundle which is used for Doctrine Dubal. So the only thing to do after installing Doctrine ORM is to activate it in the configuration, which we can do by opening the config YAML, so the app config YAML, and specifying that we want the auto mapping of the doctrine activated. So this means that the doctrine will automatically go through all of the bundles, look for the entities, and automatically map them to the YAML configuration which we will create. Otherwise, you will need to manually list all the bundles and all the entities and connect them to the mapping configuration. So we will be using the app bundle, standard one, and the standard way where we will put our mapping information is in a directory that's called resources config doctrine. So in there, we will create two YAML files. I'm using YAML even if it's deprecated now in Doctrine, but it's way much readable. So we will name our file easy.url.orm.yaml. This will mean that the entity will be located in the standard entity subfolder of the app bundle, in easy subfolder of the entity folder, and then the class name will be URL. So let's name our class that way. This is pretty much standard. And we will specify that this will access the easy URL table. So when we switch back to the table, we notice that we have our ID in the table, which is auto increment. So we will create an identifier in the mapping. So this is the keyword ID which specifies the identifier. This is the name of the property in the entity which will hold our identifier. It will be integer. We need to specify that it's identifier, and this signals to the doctrine that this is the auto-generated entity, auto-generated ID. And now, the first field is created field, which is a integer. The second one is also this one. We can map this one to a Boolean, so it doesn't have to be an integer. So we can say that is valid is type Boolean. And since this is named with snake case and we want to use camel case in our entity, we need to say that column in question is actually called valid, is valid. So the next one is last checked, which is also an integer. The next one is modified, which is also an integer. Oh yeah, right, sorry. So this one is original URL MD5. So this column stores the MD5 hash of the URL. Honestly, I have no idea why. Possibly to detect if the URL changed in the database, maybe, but I don't know really. So it's type string, and we'll set it to length of 32 because MD5 hash is 32 bytes long, and like this. And finally, we have a URL which is type text. So this is one of our entities. The other one is a simpler one. The other one is a link to the database, a link to the easy content object, and we will name it URL content link. Why not? So this is a link entity between URL and the content. So the second table is named easy URL object link, and it has only three fields, which are not primary keys in the database, but we can make them primary keys in the entity without any problems. So we will say that all three of our fields, we will name them with the new terminology. We will not use content object ID, we will use content field ID. So we will name them content field ID. It's an integer, and this time it's not auto incremented. So since this is we will create a composite key, we can just add all our fields to this ID configuration. So the next one will be content field version. It will be also an integer, and it's mapped to the content object attribute version column. And the last one will be URL ID, which is over here. We can put it at the top. So, okay. So this is our mapping configuration that is done, that we can use to create a simple controller and twig templates to display the data from the tables. Since Easy has Easy's database is basically a meta database, which means there's no tables for Easy entities. There's no table for an article or a blog post or something like that. Historically, there is no any relations between any of the tables in the Easy database. So there's no foreign keys, there's no stuff like that. But that doesn't mean we can't make our entities connected to each other, even if there's no foreign keys. So we can just add many to many and many to one and one to many relations in our entities. So we can write something like this. So URL content link, we will add many to one relation in this, which means that multiple content fields will be related to a single URL. That means when one URL changes in the system, all content objects that use the same URL will get the changed value, of course. So we will link to a URL, and we will specify the target entity, which is a shorthand, so we can just use a shortcut name here. So this is connected to the URL entity that we defined. Inversed by content links. This specifies the name of the property in the URL entity which will hold our links to the content object. And the join column in the database we can specify with the name and so this specifies the column in the link table that links to the URL, while this specifies the name of the column in the URL table that links back. So with this we need to create a symmetrical configuration in the URL entity. So we created here many-to-one, so here we need to create one-to-many relation. So as I said, inverse by content links means that the property name, the property that holds the links in the URL entity will be content links. So this will be content links. It targets URL content link, and now this is the name of the property which holds the URL in the content link entity. So now when we created our entities, we can just generate the entities with the doctrine commands. So in our shell we can just write PHP app console doctrine generate entities, which will hopefully generate our classes. Or not. App bundle entity using. Maybe we need to create the classes by hand before the generation. Let's see. So as we said, it should be located in the entity/ez subfolder. So let's create two classes, one which is called URL. As you see, PHP Storm automatically recognizes the class as a doctrine entity. And the second one we will call URL content link. And now we see what happens. Oh yeah, right. App bundle ez URL. This is a shorthand way to link to the entity. Okay, so now we got our URL entity generated, and we need content link 2, which has an error. A colon cannot be used in an unquoted mapping value at line 7. Let's see. Oh, like this? Yeah, okay. So let's try again. Oh, okay. So now we get our entity generated, and as you see, it automatically created properties and functions for manipulating content links in the database. And of course, in the URL content link, it automatically created the property for manipulating the URL. So with this ready, we can now basically start creating our Symfony controllers. If you want, you can of course always modify your Doctrine entities to make it easier for you to work. For example, all of these created and modified properties, you can just say that the get created and get modified will return a datetime object, which will be then easier to use in your controllers and tweak templates rather than the integer. But one thing that we need to do and we cannot forget is to maintain the, I call it referential integrity of the easy database, but it's not. But it's an integrity nonetheless. Remember the original MD5 hash. So every time that we set the URL of the entity, we need to set the MD5 hash also. So we can do this just in this method. So we will do this set original URL MD5 and just simply say like this. We will also make this method private, so someone from outside just so they can set the MD5 hash of the URL to an unknown value or non-matching value and so on. So now we can just start creating our controllers. So we will create 3 simple controllers. One is for displaying the list of all the URLs. The one is for displaying the items of one URL, the content of one URL, and the one is the controller that will edit the URL with the Symfony form. So we will do that in the controller folder. And we will create a URL controller, but not the folder, but the class. And this controller will extend the EZ standard controller. So this is the one from Easy Publish Core bundle. We will create 3 actions. So the first action we will use to list all the links from the database. The second one will be to show the one link, and the third one will be to edit the link. So now we're getting to the point where we're using the entity manager to just fetch the data from the database table. So you can, of course, inject the entity manager to the constructor of the controller, which is the recommended way, but for simplicity's sake, we'll just use this. So this is the name of the default entity manager in the Symfony app, which we enabled by using the auto mapping feature of the Doctrine. So now we can do something like this, find all maybe. I think that not find all, but get repository. So the beauty of PHP Storm that it auto-completes for us everything. So we will get all the links, and then we will use find all. And then we can, of course, this render. So now basically we need to create a route and we need to create a Twig template. So we will create a routing YAML file. And we will create 3 routes. We will call them with the next gen because we are creating our next generation of the URL list interface. Maybe it's a good idea to keep it separated from the legacy stack, at least until you're finished creating your user interface, so you can check out the old one and the new one while developing. So we will say that we will use our app bundle URL list controller, and then we will repeat it 2 more times. So this route will display one URL, and this route will edit one URL. Okay, so the second controller will be the one that will use to display one URL, and we can use it to optionally display all the content which is related to that URL. So now we will again get the entity manager. Okay, sorry. So now we're finding a URL which is located by its ID. So where do we get the ID from? From the URL, of course. But the most easy way to do this is just to do this. So because Symfony will just look at the routing, yeah, and just inject the URL in the action. So we can just use it and okay. Now we can create some tweak templates, why not? So let's create resources, views, URL, list. Okay, not the folder, obviously. Okay, so we have the variable links, which we can now output. Optionally, in this controller, you can of course use some kind of paging to display the list if it's too long. So you can use, for example, Pager Fanta, which is available by default in Easy Publish. Since we're using ORM, Pager Fanta supplies an adapter which is called Doctrine ORM adapter, which automatically pages through all the content available in the query builder of the entity manager that we are trying to load. Okay, so let's create another template. And we have a third action that is missing, that is the Symfony form action. So we will create a simple form which will edit the entity. Well, the main problem with this action, with editing, is that when you edit something in Easy kernel, there's so much more that is happening in the backend. So when you publish a content, all the related content gets cache cleared, re-indexed, and so on. So one of the common pitfalls that people do when doing anything outside the Easy API is forgetting that you need to clear the caches, re-index the Solr, the legacy search engine, and so on. So, of course, when creating something like this, you also need to take care to manually re-index all the relations, all the content, to clear persistence caches, which might not be easy to do. But if you're developing something simpler, it can work. Why not? We will not go into depth here with those, but Easy in version 1.x uses a stash as a persistence cache, which has its own PHP and Symfony services, which you can just access and clear the caches. Legacy search engine and Solr search engine also have their Symfony services exposed, which you can use to clear the to re-index the content. So you can just use those here after editing your entity with the Symfony form. So let's create our form. We will call it URL type, and it will extend abstract extends Symfony component form abstract type. We need to create two methods. The one is the build form, which will create our form, and the second one, since we are editing the entity of the ORM entity, we will just need to set a data class of the Symfony form to the name of that entity, which will be automatically picked up by the Symfony form, and we will get the interface to edit that entity. So the one is build form, which we can use to just add URL to edit the URL, because in the legacy admin interface, editing the URL just displays one field. So we can use that. And we can make it URL type, but not that one. To this one. So let's and we will add a submit button to make it easier to create the form, so we don't have to make it in the Twig template. So this is our very simple Symfony form. And finally, we need to create a configure options method, which will set the data class of the Symfony form to the default option, to the default value, which is equal to the entity we're editing. And we're editing our URL entity. So this will make sure that our Symfony form automatically works with the ORM entity out of the box. So we can use the entity manager to just flush the entire queue, and it will store automatically. So in the action, we can just go and do this. Again, we are having our URL ID in the action. So we will just load the URL again. And now we'll use a form factory to create our URL type, and we will say that the data passed to the form is a URL. So now we need to handle the form, check if it's valid, pretty standard stuff. So we need a request object. And now we need to handle the request. And if the form is valid, so if we specify the correct URL, we will just do flash, and we can optionally redirect to the route. It should be like this, but it's not auto-completed for some reason. And if form is not valid, we will just render a template which will show our form. So we will create another template. Which can be used to render the form. I think we can safely use this. So now we have our interface basically re-implemented from the legacy to the new stack, which we will later use to integrate into Admin UI and the hybrid UI. The point, as I said, of all this is to show that it can be used without any modifications to the backend, to the controllers. It can be used both in our Netgen Admin UI and in Easy Hybrid UI. Andre over there will show you the more details of Hybrid UI after me, I think, right? Yeah. So I will just show you one small part, how to add a link to the top menu, how to show the items in the interface. Okay, but for now, let's see if all this even works. So we created these URLs, so let's see if they work. No. Oh, I think that we didn't import routing YAML. Oh, right, yeah. So we forgot to import our routing resources. So let's see now. Okay, so it kind of works. Let's see what. Oh, right. So we're missing the returns everywhere. So now we have the list of our URLs, which are loaded from the Easy database. So this is basically a replicated functionality of Easy Legacy, which we used. Which we used through the Easy Persistent object. So we use this through the Easy Persistent object. And now we have our second URL, which is to list one URL, which is ID 23, for example. So this is a page which lists one entity. And this can be a Symfony form that edits such entity. Variable form does not exist. All right. So we need this one. Could not be converted to string. Okay, let's see. So this. I honestly have no idea what this means. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, so this is a form.
just thinking it might be the order of the parameters to the action.
Ah, maybe. I'm not sure it matters, but we'll try. Okay. No. Okay, so let's try with this form start, form end, and for example form row form dot children URL, form row form children submit. The URL doesn't exist as the array is empty. Maybe let me check my cheat sheet. Sorry? Build form. Edit URL type. Okay. This looks okay, I think. Yeah. Okay, let me check my cheat sheet. Sorry? I don't understand.
The return is missing in your build form function, no?
In the build form,
yeah,
we don't need a return there, because it's a reference, so it just adds the form to the builder object.
Or maybe a toString function. No.
Let's check. Sorry? Yes. Okay. Ah, okay. Phew. This? No. Sorry? In the builder. Builder get form, okay? This? Right, really? No. It doesn't matter. We will not waste time. Ah, okay. Let's see. But it will still crash.
No,
yeah.
only this column, only one state here.
Ah, you mean?
This form, generally form.
Ah, okay.
And remove the
So just like this, or?
No, it was then only this one and this one will be. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We'll not waste time with pretty basic stuff. We will just dump the form. So we created 3 URLs and 3 Symfony controllers. So one other common pitfall that people forget when working with EZ and the custom Symfony controllers and custom URL and custom ORM entities and so on is to check for user permissions. So I've seen countless times that people who create custom controllers just forget user permissions, easy user permissions, which makes all of the code available to anonymous users, of course. So Jerome created a bundle called Easy Core Extra Bundle, which makes it possible with the one-liner to check for permissions. So you can basically use in all of your controllers a function called denied access unless granted, which comes from Symfony, but the thing that comes from Easy Core Extra Bundle is the notation so this notation means that this controller will fail unless the easy user does not have a setup/administrate policy added to its roles. Basically, this is implemented as a custom attribute inside the Easy Core custom Symfony security component attribute in the Core Extra bundle. You can of course use this notation with your own code, with your own roles and policies. So, for example, in the tags bundle, we have easy tags read, which means you can use this also. If you're not using this from the controllers, so let's just put it here, you can use it from the templates, of course. And in the templates, in the twig templates, you can use the isGranted twig function with the same notation. So you can use if is granted, for example, easy setup administrate. Yes, you can add a second parameter, which is a value object in Symfony terms, but in easy terms it can be a content object. So you can use, for example, easy content edit a specific content. So this one works too. When you install Netgen Admin UI on your easy installation, you will automatically receive Easy Core Extra Bundle just because of this. Because various templates in Netgen Admin UI depend on the Core Extra Bundle to use these kind of permission checks. So finally, before going into how to integrate our controllers into Netgen Admin UI and Hybrid UI, I just want to quickly show how to that you can use, of course, Doctrine repository with your own entities. So, for example, to list all of the content. Oh, let's see. So now we need to log in, of course. To list all of the content which is related to this URL. Unfortunately, we cannot do this by default from Easy API, because Easy API does not have any methods that fetch the field of a content directly, or it doesn't have any methods that extract the content ID of a content where the field is located. So we need to write our own code for that. We can't do it with the Easy API. So we'll use Doctrine repository, which will just create a query builder of the Doctrine and just query the database with the Doctrine query language. So basically, what we can do is create our repository folder in which we will create the URL content link repository class, which will be a Doctrine entity repository. So we need to specify that it extends entity repository base class. And then we can create a method. For example, let's call it getContentID, which uses a link object, but not the URL, but the link object which links between URL and the content. So URL content link to query the database for the content ID. So we can use something like this. This get entity manager, this is the function that is provided by the entity repository class. Get query, get entity manager, create query builder. So now in this query builder, we can use standard Doctrine query language to query the database for our content ID. So let's write one. So we can use select, of course. So we'll say distinct So this is now, as I said, standard access to easy database tables. So in the link entity, we have the field ID and the field version, which is in legacy terms content object attribute ID and content object attribute version. So the best place where we can find the information we need is in the content object attribute table. So we just select from that table and say we will say that the content object attribute ID needs to be equal the ID from the link, and the version needs to be equal the version from the link. So I think this is named ID. And we will set the parameters from the link object. And we will just create a result. This is not auto-completed for some reason, but okay, let's see if it works. So this will return all the content object IDs in one column. So we will just extract that info from the column. Since we use distinct, it will basically return one row of results. So the first row we access with the 0 index, and then we say content object ID, and we can cast it to integer. I think that we used a wrong query builder here, so that's why I didn't autocomplete. So I think that we need this. Okay. So okay, I lied before. We can't use doctrine query language from the ORM because we have no entities for the content object attribute table. Yeah, so this is not actually a doctrine query language query builder, but doctrine double query builder, which is pretty much the same thing, but not again. Because the doctrine query language query builder is an extension of the original one, so not all features work exactly the same way, but most of them are pretty similar. So we're using the doctrine double query builder. If you ever built a field type which uses external database tables in the new stack, you also used this doctrine query builder, this double query builder to fetch the data from the external database tables. For example, tax bundle field type uses this to fetch the tables to fetch the data from its tables. So now in our controller we can just so where is our controller? Here it is. So in our controller, we can just do something like this. So for each link in the URL entity, let's see how the method is called because it's not auto-completed. So get content links. So we can just use the repository class now, and the method get content ID with the link object. Now we can use, of course, easy repository finally to fetch the object and pass it to the template. So we will just content ID, content item. Okay, so we can do this, and in our template now we have the option to display all of the content related to our URL. So let's see. Of course. Oh, I think what's wrong. I think I know what's wrong. Once we created our repository class for the entity. It's not automatically used by the entity. We need to specify which repository class to use in our entity mapping. So we can use this and just say, okay, URL content link repository. So now when we refresh, unknown method get content ID. Okay. Let's see what's wrong. Maybe we need to clear the caches. No. Repository, get content ID, URL content link repository, get content ID. Yeah, this should just work. Oh, right, the wrong entity. So this one. So let's see now. Clear the caches just in case. Okay, so now we have the list of easy content which is related to our URL. The first part of this workshop, as I said, was pretty basic. So now the second part, we'll start showing how to integrate all of this into Netgen Admin UI. To do that, first we will for our Netgen Admin UI. The simplest thing to do is basically just say that all of our templates extend the original page layout of the Netgen Admin UI. That is possible because we basically re-implemented Netgen Admin UI, the legacy Admin UI, as a full stack Symfony app written in Twig and Symfony controllers. So we basically took the page layout of the legacy admin interface, rewritten it in the Twig templates, with added bits and pieces of the legacy that we didn't manage to re-implement. But the point is, the whole point of Netgen Admin UI that it's running in the legacy mode false configuration. So that makes it possible to have a page layout which looks somewhat like this. So this is a page layout of Netgen Admin UI. So those who worked with EZ4 will recognize some stuff from the Easy legacy, like UI context, UI component, navigation part, section ID, and so on. We're using pretty standard Twig stuff here. One thing that we didn't manage to implement is all of the page head styles and all of the page head scripts which come from custom Easy extensions, which are loaded with nowadays with EasyJS core. So we basically said, okay, we have no intention of supporting every extension out there by hand. So probably the best thing is to just include the legacy easy template in the page head and with page head script, and use our own page head style and page head script for our own styles and scripts that we write from scratch. In process of implementing Netgen Admin UI, we wanted to achieve exactly the point of this workshop, to integrate new stuff in the Admin UI together with the old stuff. So, for example, today you can use Netgen tags bundle admin interface, which we created 6 months ago, I think, which can now work in the Easy Platform UI and as a standalone interface. So this is the standalone interface of Netgen tags. You can this is a pretty much standard CRUD Symfony templates which create a new tag, edit a tag, list related content of a tag, and so on and so on. So just by using a different site access, which is a site access for our Netgen Admin UI, we integrate this tags dashboard into this interface. So now, as you see on the left-hand side, there is a menu which shows the old legacy stuff, which is still implemented in the easy legacy templates. It shows a legacy dashboard. It shows a legacy setup screens. It has legacy cache and bookmarks options for clearing them, for clearing caches and adding to bookmarks, and Netgen tags as a standalone interface, completely written in the new stack, but implemented and integrated into Netgen Admin UI. So we achieved this by using so-called menu plugins. So what you see here are the 3 menu plugins. So one menu plugin is the first 5 elements. We call this a legacy menu plugin, which just takes the top menu of the easy legacy and just displays it here. So when you add a new legacy extension later on, it will just show up here automatically. But if you want to integrate something of your own, you will of course need to write a separate menu plugin for that. So in addition to Netgen tags, we implemented a couple of more. So it's not available here in the workshop, but I have it shown. I can show you. So this is our Netgen More site, we call it. This is a standard easy site which we use to bootstrap new projects on. So it has various useful legacy extensions that we use in the admin interface, like list by class and collection info export. Netgen tags is here, of course. We have a menu plugin for our own Netgen layouts. So this is a user interface of Netgen layouts, which is also implemented as a standalone product. So it can be used without Netgen Admin UI as a standalone interface, also implemented as a Symfony and Twin controllers. And integrated into Netgen Admin UI. What we also did is integrating Cilius with Easy Platform. We do that as a proof of concept, still not stable, but since Cilius should be stable in 15 days, I hope we'll make that integration stable too. And naturally, we wanted to implement the whole Cilius admin interface into Netgen Admin UI. So we did that too. So we now have Netgen tags, Netgen layouts, and Cilius. So when we click here, we get the whole Cilius interface integrated into Netgen Admin. So I can just edit the text and rename it whatever. It just works. As for Netgen tags and Netgen layouts, what we also did, which will I not show today how to do it, but I can show you that we did it, is that we integrated Netgen tags and Netgen layouts also in the Easy Platform UI 1. So and mind you, this is all without any changes to the backend code, so without a single change into in the Symfony controllers that render the tags bundle admin interface and the Netgen layouts admin interface. So it looks exactly the same. And tags too. Okay, if I'm able to click them. So they're exactly the same, without any changes. Now we'll try to implement the stuff we created into our Netgen Admin UI and into Easy Hybrid UI. I will not go into details explaining what Easy Hybrid UI is. Andre will show it to you after lunch. I will just touch the little details that we need to show our user interface to the in the front end. So the stuff we implemented until now is already implemented in my GitHub repo for the workshop. So to basically get the clean slate, we can just in the Easy Migration repo, you can do a git pull and do a git reset hard. So first the git pull, if it works. No internet. Okay, so mine is already up to date, but do a git pull, git reset minus hard if you followed me, if you implemented the things we did. And then you can git check out step 3, because the stuff I implemented up until now are in a GitHub repo in step 1 and step 2. So you can, sorry, not step 3, but step 2. Okay, so we need to delete the files. Okay, let's just do this. So, yeah, okay, git clean. So, git checkout step 2. And this should have all the stuff we already did implemented, but without the dumps and the Symfony form actually working. So let's close this one. Let's see Easy Migration. Let's verify that everything works. So URL list, but the next gen one. So here's the nice version of our page with paging and everything. You can open one link, you can edit it, so the Symfony form is now working. You can save it, and that's it. So the next step is integrating this into Netgen Admin UI. So the most easiest way to start So as I said before, is just to edit our tweak templates and make them extend the original page layout of the Netgen Admin UI. So let's find our templates. So I think I'm in a wrong project. So our templates are again located in source, app bundle, resources, views, edit, list, and view. So in all three of these templates, we will just say that they extend Netgen Admin UI / page layout. Okay? So of course we need, since the now tweak template extends another template, we need to have a block which is named content, which will have all of our content displayed on the page. This is basically what Symfony does. So we're just reusing everything from Symfony. Okay. So we do the same for all other templates. So that's it. This is all it takes to show our 3 pages with the layout of the Netgen Admin UI. So let's refresh and see what it looks like. So there it is. You have the left menu. You have the Symfony toolbar. You have the user panel. So this is basically all it took. You can click it, submit, get the list of items, and now the old interface and the new interface can work side by side. So the old one is without Netgen. So this is the old interface. This is the new interface. Works without any problems, side by side, without any collisions, without any conflicts, and that's it. So what we're missing now is a way to access this interface from the homepage of the Netgen Admin UI. So what we will do now is to implement a class that is called menu plugin, which will hook into this left menu here and display the list of URLs when you click on it. So in Netgen Admin UI, we have an interface which is called menu plugin interface, which we need to implement in our own class. So let's create a directory called Netgen Admin UI. We will put all stuff related to Admin UI in that folder, of course, and create a PHP class, and we will call it link menu plugin. And as I said, it needs to implement the menu plugin interface. So this menu plugin interface has a couple of methods that need to be implemented. So the first method is a unique identifier of the menu plugin. So this one we will call just links, for example. IsActive method is used if you want to hide or show the item in the menu in certain cases. So, for example, tags bundle menu plugin uses the IsActive method to hide and show the menu item in question based on the availability of the tags bundle. So tags menu plugin is implemented directly in Netgen Admin UI. So tags menu plugin. IsActive method queries the enabled bundles, and if the bundle is not activated, it just returns false. And even it checks if the tags bundle version is larger than 3, which means that it has a user interface available, which it can show, because there is a tags bundle version 1 and 2 which don't have a user interface. So we're basically hiding the menu plugin if we have an incompatible version of tags bundle installed, or if there is no tags bundle installed at all. But in our case, here we will just return true and say that our menu plugin will be always available. This method, matches, can be used to mark the menu plugin as a selected or is active, if you wish, when you click on the link. So when some route matches or the route prefix or so on, or whatever you wish, it can match only if there's, for example, a query parameter in the request, and so on and so on. Basically, we use this information, as I said, to mark the menu plugin as highlighted here in the menu. So all of our routes were named with app URL _list, app URL _view, app URL _edit. So we can just use this app _URL prefix to know that we're in our new interface for link management. So we can just do something like this. So this is the way to get the route name from the Symfony request object. All of the attributes in the request object that have an underscore in them are basically internal to Symfony and are not user provided. So this one is available by default with Symfony. So we can just use something like this. Which means that if our route name starts with app _URL, we will make our menu plugin highlighted. And the one method that we need, that is left to implement, which is basically the most important one, is a method which should return a couple of templates for different parts of the admin UI. So the way this is implemented is that this lacks some documentation, of course, but I hope that we will improve that. The way this is implemented is that different parts of Netgen Admin UI have different identifiers for templates. So, for example, the template used to render one item in this menu. Here it is called aside, as an side. The template that is used to render this left menu for each of the menu plugins is called left. The template which is used to render this top part is called top. So basically you can define the templates you wish to use as an array of identifiers and the paths to the template, which will then be reused by the Netgen Admin UI. So we will use here a one template aside for the menu plugin. We will not have any left menu, or we will not have any top menu. We don't need them for now. So we will just return an array here and say, okay, the aside template is app ng admin links aside HTML twig. So we need to create that template. So we will just create a link, for example. We'll call it links, and we will link to the route which lists all the links. So we'll just use app URL list. And now, to make our menu plugin activated, we need to create a Symfony service, and we need to tag it with a Netgen Admin UI menu plugin tag. So let's create services.yaml. So we will say services app ng admin menu plugin links. We will say that the class is, what's the class called? Links menu plugin, link menu plugin. And we will tag it with the Netgen Admin UI dot menu plugin tag. This will make the menu plugin activated in the system, and it will just show up in the left menu. So let's activate it. I think we need to create, we need to create a dependency injection folder. And then we need to create the app extension class, which will be used to load services.yaml. We need to extend abstract extension, I think, Symfony component, or just the extension maybe. Oh, here it is. And then we need to implement the method called load. So unfortunately I don't know how to write this by hand, by heart, so I will just copy it from another bundle. This is basically the stuff that's in every Symfony bundle, so there's no need to write it here by hand. So let's find some, for example, tags bundle. We'll just copy it from there. So we need to use the YAML file loader to load the services YAML file. So app extension, okay. So the YAML file loader is from the dependency injection component, and the file locator is from the config component. So this will now load our services YAML, and once we refresh, hopefully we'll get the menu plugin. Okay, so here it is. You can also specify the priority here. So let's say minus or 50, or let's see what happens, where it will end up. Okay, so it's at the top. So now when we click on the links, we have the list of all URLs readily available. Okay, so this is not highlighted. I think we are missing some markup from the aside HTML twig. So we'll just copy it from somewhere else. For example, from the tags. So in the template, we can use active variable to know when the menu plugin is activated, when the menu plugin is highlighted. So we can just use this. So this will highlight the menu plugin every time that we access a route called with the prefix app_URL. Okay, so now it's highlighted. And now we can play with the interface without any problems. We can edit. And so on. So, as you see, integration into Netgen Admin UI is pretty much really simple. We will need to change templates a bit to integrate into hybrid UI because we need to specify different page layouts at least. But we won't need to touch any Symfony controllers to create the integration. So, has any of you seen how the hybrid UI looks yet? No? No? Okay. So, hybrid UI is pre-installed on this easymigration.webappc. It's accessed by using /admin. So when you open /admin, if it asks for a password, it's admin publish. And possibly you will get an error when logging in. I'm not really sure if this is a bug with my installation or with hybrid UI. But when you log in with admin publish, you might get an error that says unable to decode the server response. You just click the login again and it should log you in. As I said, I'm not sure if this is a bug in my install or since this is a still work in progress, a bug in hybrid UI, but the login works. Okay, so this is the easy hybrid UI that Andre will show in details. I will just go through it quick. So, as you see, it's quite fast, it's quite performant, because as opposed to the legacy, well, I guess now we can call it the legacy, Easy Platform UI 1.x, it uses JavaScript only as a, I think, as a way to fetch the already pre-rendered content from the backend, and just uses JavaScript to plug it all together. So I think it doesn't access REST API, right, Andre?
You're talking about version 2 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so it doesn't use REST API anymore, so all of this is rendered on the backend.
There are exceptions, but it's more on the enriched part.
Okay, so there are exceptions, but more or less it uses the Twig templates to render the stuff. So what I like the most about this is that it's fast, as you see.
It's also wastefully faster to work with.
Sorry?
It's also wastefully faster to work with, but you'll see that.
Yeah, you will see that. Andrew will show it. And there is an admin panel. So this admin panel reuses the parts of the user interface from Easy Platform UI. So not all things are yet implemented here completely. So this is quite fast. It has a browser. So it works. So to integrate our interface into hybrid UI, we need to create a so-called zone, which is a top menu item. So content, page, performances, and admin panel are zones. And we need to create another. We can also add to an existing zone, but we will create another zone which we'll call links. And inside that zone, we will create a sub-item which is called, I think, a link. Top menu items are called zones, and the items inside the top menu are called links. So the way to implement this is to basically just to define two Symfony services which reuse code from the hybrid UI completely. So there is no need to write any PHP code to implement the top menu. We just need to define two Symfony services. So let's start by, okay, not there, but there. Let's start by defining a service for our zone. So we will name our service hybrid UI.zone.links. And this zone needs to reuse the class from the hybrid UI, which is also called a zone. So we autocomplete it, and this is the class that we need to use. So Easy Systems Hybrid Platform UI Navigation Hub / zone. This class, when you open it, has two parameters, two arguments to its constructor. One is the nice name of the zone, which will be displayed in the top menu. So admin space panel is the nice name. So we will just name our first, create our first argument and say that it's a string called links. And the second one is the identifier of the zone, which we'll call links. So in addition to that, we need, as in Netgen Admin UI, we need to tag it. And the tag is called easyplatform.ui.zone. Okay? Any questions about hybrid UI? Sorry?
What is this tag for?
This is a tag used in Hybrid UI, so Hybrid UI can automatically find all the zones and add them to the top menu. Okay. So this is a Symfony service for adding a new zone, and then we will add a Symfony service that adds a link to the zone. So these are called links. A little bit of name clash, but okay. So app hybrid UI zone links, and we have a link called links. Or maybe we can change this to URLs, maybe. Maybe it would be better. Okay, so this service also reuses a class from Hybrid UI. Sorry? Ah, here, okay. Yeah, okay. So this service also reuses a class from the Hybrid UI, which is called link. So navigation hub in Hybrid UI, as said before, has a zone and a link. So we will use a link. And now this link also has some arguments. I think we need to use not the link class, but the route class. So navigation hub link /route. So this route class has some arguments. I mean, of course, you can create your own. You don't have to reuse the zones and zone class and the route class and the link class from the Hybrid UI. You can create your own class and just do whatever you wish, as long as you implement zone interface, link interface, and so on. So as long as you keep the contract of the Hybrid UI, you can use your own classes. But for the quick integrations, when you just need to show a route or a subtree or something like that, you can just reuse the classes from the Hybrid UI. So this route class also has some arguments in its constructor. So the first argument is the URL generator from the Symfony. So this is the URL generator from the Symfony routing component, which is accessed in the Symfony services with the @router. The second argument is the name of the zone to which the link belongs. So in our case, the name of the zone, or rather the identifier of the zone, is URLs. So the second argument would be URLs. The third argument is the nice name of the link. So we'll just say that it's called URLs. Fourth argument is a root name which will initially load when you click on the top menu item. So we will just, as in Netgen Admin UI, we can just use the app or URL list route. And the fifth argument are the route params, but since our route doesn't have any root parameters, we will just leave it empty. It has a default parameter, so we don't need to specify it. we need to tag this with a tag named link. So the first one was easyplatform.ui.zone, and the second one is easyplatform.ui.link. Now, when you open this, when you look through this class, you will see that there is. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Oh, right. Really? Zone name, root name.
Now look in the parameters. Oh, no, it's correct. Look into the method parameters.
Method parameters. Oh. Ah, okay. Yeah. Thank you. So route name, name, and zone. Okay, so this should be route name, nice name, and the zone to which it belongs. Thank you. And when you look through the route class, there is a public method which is called setRoutePrefix, which is used to make the link highlighted when the request matches this prefix. So it's basically the same thing as in Admin UI menu plugin matches method which receives the request. So this setRoutePrefix is comparable to this matches method. So, but now we will just set the route prefix in the service. So we will add a call to set route prefix with the argument app URL. Okay, so now let's see what happens. Okay, so in Hybrid UI, we've now created our zone, which is called URLs. And when we click on it, we receive a single link called URLs. So now when we click on that, we will get, oh, let's see what happened here. We should receive an error. It's okay, but it's hidden in Symfony toolbar. So let's just remove the Symfony toolbar from the markup to actually see the error. Yeah, okay. So now the error is, of course, unable to find the template, blah, 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 whatever. But as you see, it comes from Netgen Admin UI. That's because that our backend templates for displaying this route use the page layout of the Netgen Admin UI to display the page. So we need to parameterize it somehow, okay? So what do you think it would be the best way to parameterize this? I mean, we obviously need to use some kind of variable which will hold the name of the page layout template in one case, and in the other case the name of the Hybrid UI page layout, okay? Exactly, but not exactly. We can't use dynamic parameters. So as Jerome showed, they don't work outside of, the view parameters, they don't work outside of the easy full views, okay? But what we can use is a twig global variable. So Jerome mentioned yesterday that injecting services as twig globals is not the way to do it, but this provided to work fine for us, at least for now. But when Easy Core Extra Bundle implements parameter providers for non-easy views, then we can obviously use something like that. But for now, the best way to do it I found was, so service that we are going to inject as a Twig global will be just a simple value object with a getter and a setter. So basically not much business logic. So we will use that value object as a service that we will inject into Twig templates as a global, which will then be used here to parameterize the page layout used by the Twig templates. So we can create a simple service called for example my admin or links admin global. So as I said, this will be a pretty basic value object with a getter and a setter. So we will have one variable, which will be a string, of course. We will have a constructor which will take a default page layout and just set it to the page layout variable. And we will have a getter and we will have a setter. Okay, so not much of a business logic here. So even if it's not recommended to use it this way, basically if you don't want to repeat this logic in your Symfony controllers, and then in your Symfony controllers decide what your page layout will be, this is pretty much the only way, I think. I haven't found a better. So if you have one, please do tell. Getter will be, of course, used in the Twig templates to get the current page layout, while the setter, we will use it in an event listener, which will modify the page layout based on the current request. So in an event listener, we will decide if the current request is a hybrid platform UI request, and if it is, we will just switch the page layout to the new value. And when the request comes to the point of rendering, the global variable will have the new value of the page layout in the links admin dot get page layout call. So we need to create a Symfony service for this value object. So let's create one. So we will call it app templating globals, for example. How did it call it? Links admin. So it receives, so it's an instance of links admin global class, and it receives a one argument, So the first and the only argument will be the name of the page layout. Now we can do this twofold. We can go from the Netgen Admin UI side to the Easy Platform side. So it means that the default value of the parameter could be the template of the Netgen Admin UI, and then in the event listener we can switch it to the Platform UI page layout if the request matches. Or we can go the other way around. It depends on your own needs, and it depends on what you think you will use most, Platform UI or Admin UI or whatever. So in the second case, you would say that the default page layout is the page layout of the hybrid Platform UI, and then in the event listener, you would match the request in the Netgen Admin UI and then switch the template. So for simplicity, we'll just say that the default value of the page layout is our Admin UI page layout. You need to be careful when specifying Twig templates like this, because in this services notation, at in front of the string means a Symfony service. So since our Twig templates are also referenced with an at in front of the name of the template, we need to add a double at, basically escaping the at and referencing to the template. So we don't need to tag this service, but what we do need is to specify that this is a Twig global variable. So we will do it in the app config.yaml. So we can do this. I think we already have a Twig configuration here somewhere. Okay, so here it is. So we add globals, and then we say that links admin global references our Symfony service we just created. So at app.templating globals link admin. This should work with Easy Core Extra Bundle too, right? Yep. So this is it. Now we can use our Twig global. Now we can use our Twig global in the templates and just say that now we don't extend the string, but we extend links admin dot page layout. So we don't need. So the method in the value object is named get page layout, but we don't need to use get page layout here. For simplicity's sake and for better understanding, we can just use the page layout, which is internally converted by the Twig engine into get page layout, is page layout, set page layout, whatever the first matches. So we just use links admin dot page layout, and we specify that all of our templates extend the same thing. So now our interface in the Netgen Admin UI should still work. So there it is. It reuses the value put inside the value object of a Twig global. So all three URLs work. But of course, the URLs in the hybrid UI still can't work because we still don't have the code switching the page layout. So we will still get an error. And the error, of course, will be the same, probably. I can't I can't click on the X in the Symfony toolbar because when the JavaScript error happens, it crashes the browser console. So I need to remove it in the developer tools. So the message is still the same. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to implement the event listener. So we will call it hybrid UI set page layout listener. Oh, right. So this is the standard Symfony event subscriber. So we will implement event subscriber interface from the Symfony event dispatcher component. And come on, okay. So this requires a single method, which is called getSubscribeEvents. So which we will just say, okay, we are listening to an on request event. So we will just return kernel events request, and we will say that our method will be called on kernel request. We can now create the onKernel request method, and PHP Storm will create for us the correct argument. So now we need to find out how we can match each and every hybrid platform UI request, so we can use it in the event listener to filter out all other requests. So first, we don't need sub requests, so first we will filter that out. So if it's not a master request, we'll just return. And next, we will use Chrome inspector to find if there's any data in the request which can be used to pinpoint that the current request is a hybrid UI platform request. So let's open the inspector. And click a little. Okay, so let's look at the requests. Let's see. Okay, so let's click on our URLs list. So all of these requests are pretty much standard. One that obviously stands out is the Ajax update header, which is available in pretty much all of the requests in the hybrid UI. So we will use that existence of that header as a indication that we're inside the hybrid UI request. So we will just, in our event listener, we will just say if event get request has x ajax update, or rather, if it doesn't have the said request, just return. And if the request has a header, we will need to set the page layout to our Twig global. So to do that, we need to inject the Twig global. So it's called links admin global. And we need to inject the page layout which will be used by the hybrid platform UI. So, pretty standard. So finally, when we have found our request to be a hybrid platform UI request, we will just do this: set page layout, this page layout, and that's it. This will basically make sure that as soon as the request is matched as a hybrid platform UI request, our Twig global receives a new page layout, which then can be reused by the Twig templates. So basically, without changes to the Twig template or the Symfony controller, we now have the integrations both into Netgen Admin UI and into hybrid platform UI. So we still need to register the event listener in the Symfony container. So we can use it. We can specify it like hybrid UI event listener set page layout. So the class is set page layout listener, and the arguments are now our global. And the second argument is the name of the page layout from the hybrid platform UI. So let's find out what's the page layout. So the hybrid platform UI is, of course, in Easy Systems namespace. So in hybrid platform UI, in a bundle, it's probably in resources, views. So it should be pjax_layout.html.twig, which is used to show the content from the Twig templates that are rendered. So it also has a block content. It also has a block content, so which is used by our Twig templates. It also has some other blocks which you can use if you wish. They won't matter in the Netgen Admin UI, but you can use them for some platform UI specific title or notifications if you want, and so on. So let's just specify that the template is hybrid platform UI Jax. I think that I need to add Easy Systems hybrid platform UI pjax/layout.html.twig, and then add the at the beginning. So that should be it. With this, our interface should work there. Let's see. Oh, no, still an error. Oh, right, we're missing the tag. So we need to tag this service as a event subscriber. Okay. Okay, so there it is. So now every hybrid platform UI request from now on will execute the event listener, which will set the page layout for our admin pages. And this again works in the same way as in Netgen Admin UI. So you can just edit and that's it. So as you see, basically without any changes to Symfony controllers, with a single change to the page layout template, which again is not admin UI specific but kind of generic, changing the page layout, we implemented some of our features, custom features, into both admin interfaces. So basically there's no reason not to start with the Netgen Admin UI, for example, use it, create your own stuff, all up until the moment when the easy hybrid UI has reached its stable. Then you just throw away Netgen Admin UI, uninstall it, remove the services that are related to admin UI, like the menu plugin or so on, and just start using hybrid UI with your own custom code. So basically that's the whole idea. We also created some integrations for Netgen layouts. In this way, we still haven't integrated them in the hybrid platform UI, but in the Netgen Admin UI, Netgen layouts is integrated in pretty much similar ways. How many of you have heard of our legacy extension called NG Symfony Tools? Okay, only the Netgen guys. And Yanni. Amir, you've heard of it?
I heard, but I used it also. But
yeah, so the point of that legacy extension is to allow, so let me start from the beginning. When Easy switched to the Easy 5 and Twig templates and so on, it was essential for migrations, for compatibility with older versions of Easy, to allow including the legacy Easy templates in the new stack, from the Twig templates. So the legacy Easy templating engine was implemented as a templating engine in Symfony templating component, which basically allows the notation I already showed you in the page layout of the Netgen Admin UI. So just as you can include another Twig template, you can include a legacy Easy template from Easy 4 with the same notation as before. So design double colon page head style dot TPL, and it just uses the Symfony, the easy legacy design fallback system to find the right template based on the current site access and so on and so on. So this just works. But unfortunately, the reverse was not possible. So including twig templates from Symfony, from legacy templates, was not made possible by default, because the legacy easy templating engine is a bit of mess of a code, and extending that would be much harder than just saying, okay, it doesn't even make sense. So our extension, ng Symfony tools, is used so you can it provides the possibility to include twig templates from the legacy easy templates. It even provides the possibility to directly run the Symfony controllers and render them from the legacy twig templates. It allows generating URLs and paths from the legacy templates, all with using template operators which are available, which can be extended in the easy legacy templating engine. So what we did using this kind of integrations for Netgen layouts is create a button in our Netgen Admin UI, which is called Manage Layouts. So the code for this button and the controller is open source, and it's located in Netgen Admin UI repo, so you can check it out. So when you click on it, you get a page, you get a pop-up, which is basically a Symfony controller which renders the page, while the page from where this is called is still easy legacy. So this manage layout buttons let's find it. No, not in hybrid platform UI, but in Netgen Admin UI. Let's see where it is. Yeah, resources, views. Ooh, it's in, of course, it's in legacy easy extension. So I didn't mention this thing. Legacy admin UI, Netgen Admin UI, being a rewrite of the easy legacy design of the administration interface, still relies on the legacy templates to display most of the pages. So the central part is still implemented in legacy, and of course we need the legacy design to do that. So Admin UI bundle also provides a legacy extension called Netgen Admin UI, which has a Netgen Admin UI legacy design, which is automatically activated when you install the Admin UI. So inside one of those legacy templates, I think it's here. Nope. Let's find it. Okay, so here it is, window preview toolbar. So this is a template. So this is a template that renders the top part of this page, and this is a call from the Netgen Symfony tools extension in the legacy template to the new twig template with the twig notation. You can, of course, you don't have to use twig templates. You can use PHP templates because PHP templates are provided by Symfony templating component. You can use whatever template Symfony is configured to work with. You can just say Symfony include, and then in the old easy legacy notation, just transfer location and content as the legacy node and object variables, which will be automatically converted to new stack content and location objects. So basically what we're doing is calling a Twig template that renders the model, which is nothing special. It has a bit of code that specifies the controller which renders the pop-up, and that's it. So the controller is pretty basic, loads another Twig template and renders it. So by using the extension, we basically integrated the new stack code into the Netgen layouts, all from the part of the page which itself is legacy. So once when hybrid UI is mature and stable, we can just use the same location mappings model Twig template just to place it, I don't know, for example, here. So we can just place a button there which reuses the same code from the admin UI, and that's it. So I think this concludes everything. Any questions? Okay, so everything is clear. Okay, so thank you very much.
Is there anything that we could bring over from Is there any clear things that we can bring over from Netgen Admin UI to Hybrid UI?
Sorry, I don't hear you.
Is there anything clear that specific things that we can bring over from Admin UI to Hybrid UI?
If you ignore the missing features like, I don't know, the collected info management, link management, no, I don't think so. But what you can do is maybe make it more clear when the request is a hybrid platform UI request, so we don't have to go through the X Ajax update header searching. Maybe. Yeah. That's the one thing that comes to mind. The tree might be nice to have again.
Oh, you missed the inline tree?
Yeah, everyone misses the inline tree.
Yeah.
The new content browse in the platform UI is also fine. It's much better than the UI native one.
Sorry?
The content browse function in the platform UI, and not here, not in the hybrid version.
Well, this is the same content browser.
In this case, it's just not styled.
Yeah, it looks bad because no styles are applied, but it's completely the same thing.
Okay.
So what I didn't mention, but Andrea will probably mention it and explain in details, that currently modules from the hybrid from the Easy Platform UI 1.x can be reused in the hybrid UI, probably with some integration code, but it works fine.
Well, just regarding that point, just ping PM in EC and give feedback. The feedback we have gotten so far on this, which we call Finder, is that, yeah, it's not as imminent available as a content tree, but once you use it, it's much more powerful because you can have much deeper tree more naturally than what you can have in a small content tree on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the main advantage of the new hybrid platform UI is that now easy developers can again develop admin UIs, which in Netgen, basically all of developers are easy developers. We have two CSS developers and two JavaScript developers which know easy, but they're not able to develop UI components in the platform UI to integrate some admin interfaces. And now with the hybrid platform UI, all of our easy developers can again work on creating custom panels. So that's the most important thing for us in the hybrid platform UI. Yeah, for everyone basically. Okay.
Any more questions?
No more?
Hybrid platform UI has a site access now.
Yes, I think it has, but I'm not sure how does it work because you don't have to specify it in the configuration. I think it has some kind of automatism. Andre, you will explain that on the okay. So come after me, come after lunch and listen to Andre. He will explain in details the hybrid platform. Thank you.